What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. Before I dive into it real quick, I apologize for the sound being poor possibly and the lighting. Not home, not going to be home this weekend, so this might be what you see next few days. So we're just doing it on the cell phone. For some of you that have been around since day one of my videos, this is how it used to be, just taking out the phone and talking on there. So for anybody aspiring to be a content creator and talk about their favorite team, I mean, you don't have to have fancy equipment or anything to do it. You just need a cell phone and talk into it and put it on and you can have success. Like I said, the lighting's not great, obviously, but, you don't have to have perfect stuff to provide content. If people like what you have to say, they'll listen regardless of how it looks or how it sounds to an extent. So, I do apologize, though, for the sound being poor. Mariners win tonight, 8-2. As always, like, comment, subscribe in the video. Appreciate all the support as we really wind down to the end here. Nice win, obviously, for the Mariners. And as I always say, it's good to see them winning baseball games. They've won back-to-back. And regardless how the season ends up, it's nice to see wins as opposed to losses. Unfortunately, they don't gain any ground. Houston wins, so they're 5 back there. Me and Mariners sort of talked about that last night. It might be beneficial to just have Houston win at this point, and then maybe they can clinch, and you might have a better chance to beat them if they're willing to rest some starters as much as they can in that series. Minnesota, unfortunately, comes back and beats Boston, and Boston had ample opportunities and extra innings to beat them. Would have been great because it would have gotten you within a game. It looks like the fan in the back's like about to take my head off. It's not, but it looks like it watching it on the screen. And Detroit does lose, so you do get a game back there, but very frustrating that Boston couldn't pull it out against Minnesota. You get to a game back there, and obviously you don't have the tiebreaker with Minnesota, so it would have been more of a 2-game back, but you'd feel pretty good. You go into tomorrow knowing if you win and Minnesota loses, you're mathematically tied for the wild card spot, and you could be in a position where after Sunday, you could be in a playoff spot. That would have taken a few things to happen, but the possibility would have been there. So really disappointing, but I will continue to reiterate, listen, if the Mariners do not get in this thing, there's only one baseball team you can blame for that, and that is the Seattle Mariners. It is nobody else's fault. They had opportunities. They had a big lead. If they don't get in, it's solely rest on their own shoulders. So it's why I don't get too worked up when other teams win, as long as the Mariners are winning. Because you can only control what you can control on the field. That's why, again, I blame the Mariners, right? They're the team that deserves the blame. Because you can only control what you do. And the Mariners blew a 10-game lead. They had it. They lost games they should have won. We've talked about the Angels ad nauseum and plenty of other series. So there's nobody else to blame. So I don't get too upset when other teams win, because that's what their goal is. They're out there to win the game. So nice to see the Mariners win. Again, I will always say I'd certainly rather have it where Seattle wins and another team wins than both teams losing, because then it's frustrating that you could have gained ground, essentially. So let's go ahead and dive into the box score here. It's like I said, it's going to be a quick recap tonight, but I'll get out of here in just a little bit. Let me find the box score. There it is, as it takes a minute to upload here. All right, so we had George Kirby, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, no walks, 4 Ks. Kirby, a couple solid starts in a row, right? He was really good his last time out against, I believe, was his last start against Texas? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was that Sunday game against Texas. Only gave up 1 hit. Really good again today. Gave up a couple runs there early, but settled in, got the job done. Nice to see Kirby bouncing back. We talked about this team was going to find a way to make a little bit of a run. You could not have George Kirby pitch like he did really throughout most of August and into the start of September. Again, it could end up being too little too late, but good to see a couple solid back-to-back starts from George Kirby. And the bullpen does its job with 3 shutout innings from Thornton, Chagua, and Bizzardo. Little odd, 9th inning for Bizzardo, gives up 3 hits, but man, just to wiggle around it, ended in an 8-2 game. Not too worried about it. Only 1 strikeout of the bullpen. That was Trent Thornton. 1 walk was Thornton as well. And Thornton gave up a hit. Again, Trent Thornton's actually been pretty solid last several months as well, after, a guy that looked like he could be on the DFA train, midway through the season. Solid start, rocky middle. He's bounced back and done a nice job, which this team is absolutely needed with the injuries it suffered in the bullpen. Again, overall could be too little too late, but good to see, right? You always want to look for some positives going into 2025. Speaking of some positives, Julio Rodriguez. 3 for 5, a 2 home run game, 5 RBIs. That's home runs number, I believe, 17 and 18 for Julio on the year. OPS up to 724. Listen, I will never come on here after this season and tell you that Julio had a great year. He did not. It's been a disappointment. We expected Julio to be, an MVP type candidate. At least I did. I think most of us, that's the hope, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be an MVP, but at least someone that you would think could be in the conversation. He has not done that. He has not. And we saw the base running error on what's today? Today's Friday, on Wednesday. There's been some extremely frustrating moments. But you want to look for things you can go into 2025 with some hope if this team cannot get into the playoffs this year. And one of them is a nice September from Julio. That doesn't mean he's guaranteed to have a good year next year. He's got to find the consistency. He's got to find it April through September. Bad months happen. I'm not saying every month has to be great. All players have a month or two where they're just not as good, as their overall numbers would be. But there just has to be more consistency from Julio overall. What you're seeing right now is a good baseball player. It's totally fine. You would still run him out there. But if the Mariners want to get to where they need to be, he's got better. And look what's happened. What's happened the last couple of weeks? Julio has swung the bat really well, right? Minus a few games here and there. And again, some base running blunders. But overall, the bat's been better. And what's happened? The Mariners have won more games. Gee, shocking that when what should be their best player plays better, they win baseball games. It's if you would have told me this is Julio's season, if you'd have said, Jay, talk to me back in April and say, hey, Julio, these will be his numbers going to September. I tell you, it might be tough for this team to compete. It's going to be tough. They might be in the mix, but they're not going to be running away with anything. And sure enough, there you go, right? So let's look at the offense overall. Victor Robles was 2 for 4 in RBI. Good to see him back in the lineup playing after being hit. And then they talked about how he wasn't sure if he could even grip a bat. So the fact that he was good enough to play is a good sign and gets a couple hits plus an RBI. Talked about Julio. Cal 0 for 4 with a walk. Randy 1 for 4 with a walk. Luke Raley 0 for 5. Justin Turner 1 for 4 with a walk. Outside the home runs, no extra base hits for the Mariners. But again, Justin Turner on base twice. I don't think it's going to get kind of the Carlos Santana hype. One, because Santana joined the team, I believe, in May or June a couple of years ago, and the Mariners made the playoffs. But man, if the Mariners get in somehow and Turner, can keep this up, that's a low-key, really nice acquisition. I know I've said it a bunch of times, but I like Justin Turner when they acquired him. He's a guy I talked about in the offseason, and a guy I talked about the deadline that I could see the Mariners acquiring. And he's really done a nice job. He's really stabilized first base. I mean, the definition of a veteran professional hitter, right? Again, going to be 40 next year, not someone I'm super interested in bringing back. But I mean, I don't know. I think you could maybe a 1-year deal. I mean, we'll get into that later, but I don't know. I might entertain it if he's interested. I might think about it. I worry a little bit about the bat speed and stuff, but as far as this year goes, he's been a tremendous acquisition, really has been. Polanco 1 for 4, Dylan Moore pinch ran, scored a run, was 0 for 1. JP 1 for 3 with a walk. Good to see a couple times on base for JP. And then Josh Rojas 1 for 3 with a home run off of Jacob deGrom, and then the sac fly. I don't know if anybody had Josh Rojas homering off Jacob deGrom on their bingo card at any point in 2024. So good to see. And, again, listen, it's certainly not, great. You're 8 games to go here, and you're essentially 3 games out because you're going to have to pass Minnesota. And Minnesota had a very losable game today, or at least a game it looked like they should have lost that they won. You can't let that just can't happen for the Mariners to get in. They're going to have to lose the losable games, and the Mariners are going to have to find a way to win. Thanks, Jay. Groundbreaking information there. So we'll see. Emerson Hancock goes tomorrow. I'm always a little weary with Hancock, but he's done a nice job at least. He gives the team a chance to win. He's usually gone 5 innings, 2-3 earned runs. So if the offense can find a way to get some runs, they'll have an opportunity. So, hopefully the Mariners just keep winning. And we'll see what happens. I don't know if they're going to win all 8. I think you're kind of at a point you got to win 6, 7 of these probably. And I don't even know, again, if that's going to be enough. But you just got to keep winning and hopefully that somehow other things happen. And if not, the only thing we can blame is Seattle Mariners, right? It's on them. And then we'll evaluate what happens the offseason. But nice to see George Kirby, a couple good starts in a row. Good to see a big game from Julio. Especially, that first home run from Julio after the team got down 2-1. It kind of felt like okay, here we go. They're going to lose this game. They get up 1-0. They're not adding on. Nathaniel Lowe gets the big hit, and that's a guy the Mariners never feels like they get out. And then Julio with the big 3-run home run the next inning. So, obviously guys got to get on in front of him, which they did. But really good to see, because it was just, you felt the game maybe slipping away, and then Julio gets the big hit right there, brings the team back into it. So, if we're looking for the positives for 25, good starts from Kirby. Bullpen settling in here a bit, and hopefully you're going to get some guys back next year. And hopefully this September Julio carries over. Again, guys, I want to be clear to you. This is my hope. I'm not trying to tell you, see, Julio back. We'll see what happens. But my hope is that it can carry into. I don't even know if that's a thing. Sometimes I wonder, that momentum will carry over. It's well, they're not going to play baseball again for 5-6 months. So I don't know how much anything can carry over, but hopefully it does. So, and we'll see. Maybe they find a way to still sneak in this year. I tell you, I would love to do a playoff series preview. I really would. It'd be a lot of fun. Even if, the season's been a bit of a bummer, it would be a lot of fun to do it. So hopefully they can find a way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a post game tomorrow. It's going to be really difficult. I will do everything I can to do it. Sunday's going to be tough as well. And it's not anything to do with me not caring about the team. I'm just not home this weekend. So I'm going to do everything I can to get that done for you guys, especially down the home stretch. If this is in April, May, I'd probably be more I'll just take the weekend. But we're at the home stretch here. So nice win for the Mariners. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all hopefully tomorrow for the post-game recap. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. And as always, go Mariners. Peace.